This is the most basic and strongest feather, and it's called ignorance. It is spiritual darkness. So an ARHAT dispels this darkness with the light of wisdom. And having broken all 10 feathers, realizes nirvana. What's delusion? And how do we recognize delusion? Delusion arises when we interact with others, with an object, that we create unskillful thought, speech, and action. Right? We cause rise to negative emotion. That's delusion. When we interact with others and we can recognize the anger before anger arises, before we create unskillful deeds, then that is dispelling delusion. So delusion here is nothing mysterious, but it's in how we react when we interact with other people. But the experience with others also helps to clarify ideas through discussions. Sometimes when we learn something by ourselves, we think it makes perfect sense, but until we say it, we discuss it, it helps to clarify. First is thinking, but once it's filtered through our thoughts and through our speech, and it's something else. But then it goes to another filter, which is the actions to carry it out. Like we learn about compassion. But then when it comes to doing it, it's so difficult because that means we don't understand it. Through discussions, through actions, that we learn another layer of it from a different perspective. It helps to refine our understanding. And so that's what it means here, is that it's in the Sangha that we learn about ourselves and we help to clarify our understanding. It is as though trying to communicate activates an understanding that is already there but has never manifested until now. So it's like we learn something, but until we talk about it, at the end we could understand it from a different perspective, which can be totally different from what we originally thought. Here I want to point out a study that a company called McKinsey & Company did a study on why diversity matters. McKinsey has been examining diversity in the workplace for several years, and this is the result of their study. They surveyed 366 public companies across multiple countries. And in the research, they look for metrics as a financial result and the composition of top management and boards to see how diversity can impact their bottom lines, their earning. Is there any relationship between diversity of ethnics, diversity of thoughts, how having people from different countries to work in your company, in your group, and different ideas, different thinking can help your performance, company's performance. The results were that the finding that it was very clear that companies in the top quartile for racial and ethnic diversity are 35% more likely to have financial returns above their respective national industry medians. So those who are more diverse in terms of race perform more. They have more revenues, more earnings. They perform more than their peers. And companies in the top quartile for gender diversity are 15% more likely to have financial returns above their respective national industry medians. So those who have a mixture of gender, like the executive boards have a good mixture of males and female directors or executive directors, they're likely to perform better than their peers who are only single gender. So what does that mean to us? Spiritually speaking, when we practice together in a Sangha, people can help to point out our mistakes, or it's through others that we detect our own mistakes. People may not point out our mistakes, but with mindfulness, we can detect our own mistakes because we interact with people. And cultivation, practicing Buddhism, is to help correct our mistakes and to develop and to grow spiritually. So if we can't see our mistakes, then it is impossible for us to advance spiritually. Through learning that, we get to know more of who we are and what we want. When we are by ourselves at home cultivating, we are depriving our chance of advancing compared to our peers. But when we interact with other people with that diverse thinking and the different levels of cultivation, we can detect our own faults and where we are. It's a good gauge, and therefore we can advance. So if we have that diversity in terms of spiritual cultivation, different levels, then it helps us to advance. And so it's kind of consistent with the business studies that they have done. It is consistent across the board that companies who are diverse in race and ethnicity and thought outperform their peers. And so the Sangha here is a good opportunity for us to interact with people from different, not only race, but different thinking background. So it's a diverse community that allows us to advance. But if we don't take advantage of that, then we will fall behind compared to our peers. So through meeting the challenge of real communications, one comes to know oneself better. Through interacting with others, that we get to know more about ourselves. When a person's getting angry and we detest their anger, it is not necessarily that they are detestable, but it is the reflection of who we are. And so when we recognize that, we say there is still a lot of anger in us that we need to correct. And sometimes we don't see that when we are by ourselves. When we are very meditative at home, very blissful, we don't get to see the true face behind that mask.